Hello everyone, Lily here. Welcome to my channel. And for those returning viewers, welcome back. And today I thought I'd do the tag that got started by Logan at LarkandLegend called My Tarot First. So the first question is, what was your first encounter with tarot? And I had actually never encountered tarot, per se, when I came across it in a bookstore that we had here in town. We had a bookstore that specialized in self-help, nutrition, world religions, and they also had an occult section. And when I started going there, I was going through a divorce and I was mainly going there for the self-help books. And actually it took several visits before I actually came upon the occult section, because it was in a Victorian house, and depending on the section you needed to go through, you went to a particular room, and the self-help section was actually the first room you'd come into when you walked into the house. So anyway, it took, like I said, several visits before I came across the section they had tarot. Tarot books and tarot decks and stuff like that. What was your first tarot deck? And I'll tell the story about why I picked this deck, because it goes with the book. But anyway, my first tarot deck that I still have is the Hanson Robert. And it's small, it's Rider-Waite base, which is one of the reasons why I also got it, but not the main reason. So the next question is, what was your first indie tarot deck? And mine was actually the Wild Unknown, and this is the first edition. The one, actually, I like this one better than the subsequent ones that came. But anyways, the one with the diamond backs. And actually, I'm only keeping this deck for collection purposes, because I actually don't get a lot of the images, although they are kind of growing on me, mainly through exposure, because it's been around quite a while. Yeah, I mean, you know what, because one of the things that I didn't like about it from the start is it came with a terrible guidebook that doesn't explain the symbolism. So it's simple as that. So that is the Wild Unknown. My first Kickstarter deck, which is in my Purgatory box, which I don't have available to me right now. The first deck that I got through Kickstarter was the Considerate Cat Tarot, which is a really cute deck, but I can't really read with it, and it's also one that made that got cut when I was going through my decks, trying to reduce my collection, because I have no room to house it all. So, unfortunately, it's not staying. First tarottuber. I actually think I can't name one. I'll actually, let me rephrase that. I'm going to give the names of several, because the thing is when I encountered tarot on YouTube, I'm the kind of person that won't settle with one channel. I'll look at as many channels as I can, but the ones I remember the most from when I started was Elise Morgan, I think her name was, who was Wild Woman Tarot. I actually really enjoyed her channel before, well, before she deleted them all, when she did a 180 and converted to Christianity. Kelly at Truth and Story. Kellyanne Maddox, actually her channel name at the time was Four Queens. And one that doesn't record anymore was L at Sacred Seed. Actually, you know what? If there's one channel I really miss, it's her. First tarot book. And I have it right here. And it's this one here called Tarot Unveiled. And the reason I have this book is because I had some kind of blind spot in that store that I was talking about earlier, in the sense that all the books I was looking at in the section where they had the tarot books and the tarot decks, the book, it was set up as a bookcase. So you had the books at the bottom, and you had a glass case with the individual tarot decks at the top. So the thing is I'd look at books, and then I'd look at the decks, and I'd look at books, and I'd look at the decks. And the thing is none of them matched. And the thing is I was adamant of getting a book that actually showed the tarot cards. And I don't know, after looking through everything after half an hour, I came across the fact that, it had the Hanson Robert and they had the deck. So this is the reason why I got both together. And it was only, again, several visits later that I noticed that right next to that section they had another glass case full of decks that were book and tarot deck sets. So anyway, that's how I ended up with the Hanson Roberts. Number 6, first tarot podcast. Actually, the only tarot podcast that I listened at some point was called Tarot, Myth, and Love. Where, actually, I don't remember the format all that much, except that they would tie a myth to a tarot card, if I'm not mistaken. And the main reason why I don't listen to tarot podcasts, as a rule, mostly because the only podcasts I listen to I actually like to listen to current affairs and stuff like that, because I only listen to podcasts when I'm out and about on my walks in the morning for exercise. Otherwise, I don't listen to podcasts, audio podcasts, I mean. Number 7, tarot, my first tarot course. I'm not going to mention the tarot course I took, mainly because I don't want to bring attention to it, because although I did learn a lot, and what actually not gave me the edge, but I got the information I needed to become a better reader through that course. There were a lot of problems with that course, mainly with the teacher, who has a peculiar personality, and things that were promised every time he advertised the course that took a long time to materialize when you were actually participating in the course. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. But the thing is I did learn a lot through that course. Number 8, major tarot teaching you relearned in a way that better suited you. And actually, I'm going to come back to that course, because one of the things I did learn, even though I had been reading tarot books since the 90s, one thing, for some reason, I never understood or didn't catch on was the first thing about tarot is to look at the picture. It's not memorizing meanings, although they help. You know what? That's the art of tarot, is looking at the picture, coming up with a meaning that answers the question. And the thing is traditional meanings and what you get out of the picture are not always the same thing. So that's the one thing that I did learn through that course that made me a better reader and better answering in questions. First tarot deck you rehomed. I'm not sure, because I've been buying tarot decks since the 90s, and I actually, well, let me rephrase that. The first time I actually got rid of decks is I actually went through my decks, made a pile, put them in a box, and I think I sold them in a lot. And the thing is I remember in that box being the Arthurian Legend, not the one by Caitlin Matthews, but the other one, Legend, I think it's called, a Ciro Marchetti deck that for some reason I opened the box and didn't like it on sight. There were several Oracle decks with that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the Fate Tarot is another one I think that I included in the deck, in the box. Yeah, I think there was like 15 decks in all. So it wasn't the first, it was like several first. First tarot that touched you emotionally. And although this is a special, the paradoxical edition, it's the Deviant Moon is the one that actually I had a reaction to it. So while I show cards here, the thing about the Deviant Moon is from the beginning it gave me the creeps, and I actually never intended of buying it. And what ended up happening is I was visiting a esoteric shop in the region I live in. It's about an hour from where I live, but the thing is when I'm out traveling and if I'm going by that way, I always stop at this small shop. And one day I was in there and there wasn't anything I particularly liked, but I wanted to leave with something to encourage the business. So I ended up buying the first edition mass market of the Deviant Moon. And eventually what eventually happened is because I had the deck and I was deciding if I was going to keep it or not, I ended up participating in a group on Facebook, which gives out challenges in knowing your deck. Like every day there was a prompt, and you picked cards. And the thing is I ended up not falling in love with it, but the thing is that it gives really good answers. And a lot of the cards, even though they do follow the Rider-Waite system, they have a little twist to it that makes you rethink the traditional meaning. So Deviant Moon Paradoxical Edition. And the last question, first tarot inspired artwork that you made. And unfortunately, I've never made artwork inspired by tarot. I'm not a visual artist per se, because my hobbies are more on the practical side, I would say. And I mean no disrespect, but the thing is my hobbies are knitting, spinning yarn, and quilting. So if I ever come close to making artwork based on a tarot card, which I have thought about, it's going to be a wall hanging made with fabric. But the thing is that I have like 15, 20 projects on the go already. And it's, a quilt is the last, it's just at the bottom of the pile. So I have no idea if it'll ever bubble up for me to start a project. So this is it. I want to thank Logan at LarkandLegend for putting out this tag. I thought I think it's actually quite fun. And I'm looking forward to other responses. So until next time, have a good day.